In this together. Great fall getaways. From Pennsylvania to upstate New York, the destination's just a short ride away that you can safely explore during these uncertain times. A look inside one of the most historic cider mills in New York State.
Some beautiful apples.
Then,
So I understand that Hudson almost became the state capital of New York.
It's true. And it lost out, they say, by 1 vote to the current capital, which is 30 miles north, which is Albany.
Hudson, New York, where historic meets hip.
Very nice.
A walking tour of one of the hottest weekend destinations in New York State. Plus,
The colors, the textures, design, there's so much art, it's gorgeous.
a venture to the vibrant town of New Hope, Pennsylvania, to experience a brand new waterside resort. And take a ride back in time.
Hey, I'm Kristafer. We're going to be showing you some great places to escape this fall here in the Tri-State. Our first stop is here at the Jericho Cider Mill in Jericho on Long Island. So get your pumpkin spice lattes and let's go. So we're going to take you behind the scenes of this historic cider mill just to show you exactly how they make the juice. And look who's working. Do you have a part-time job here? Bianca Peters, aren't you the anchor of Good Day Wake Up? What are you doing?
I gotta pay for those New York City taxes somehow, but I'm sorting the good and bad apples right now, so.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's a bad, no, that's a good one.
Oh.
You're the bad one.
So just how do they take an apple and turn it into a fall favorite?
This year in October, we celebrate our 200th year. There's a lot of history behind the cider mill.
It all started with this guy, John Hicks. Hicksville, New York is actually named after his family, but after opening a hard cider mill, it got shut down during the Prohibition, so he reopened it as a regular cider mill. And since then, the mill is still locally owned and operated using only fresh apples from across New York State.
There's no secret to our formulation. It's a natural cider with no preservatives. So we take an apple like this, we squeeze it, and people drink it. People love coming back generation after generation. And it's great to just stand outside and to be able to hear the stories that are told to the children that my grandfather and my father and et cetera, et cetera. And it's just an incredible thing that goes on here during the fall season.
And speaking of family traditions, Teddy's son Kerry actually found love at the cider mill.
My son was just recently married to Brianna, and you know, we always joke about it that in the family that we had to buy a cider mill in order for him to find the right girl. Our famous apple donuts.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, good.
Giving her everything.
All right, you can take one too.
Thanks for sharing.
So apple donuts, cider donuts, of course, world famous. People come from all over to enjoy our cider donuts. And we do make them quite different than everyone else because we have the luxury of having a cider mill.
And you'll find Jericho's also has a wide selection of jellies, jams, and pickled treats.
Pickled beet balls.
There you go.
All right, on to a more traditional fall classic, apple pie.
We don't put any preservatives in our apple pies, and we don't put any artificial flavors in it.
It's made the old school way with this peeling contraption thing.
Keep it going until it drops.
Last but certainly not least, we can't forget about the cider. First, the apples are sorted.
Each bin is approximately 800 pounds of apples, and we do about 15 bins in a day. So it's a lot of apples between.
Have all that muscle.
That's how I do it.
Then they're cleaned, sent up to the second floor where the apples are ground up into a pulp and shot out of the juice press.
See how we actually
What is
put the
right?
apple into the press.
Oh, yikes.
This just looks so weird.
Joey's been here 28 years doing this.
Joey definitely deserves a break, so Bianca took over.
Oh my God.
Do you feel better now?
I feel like I had a workout.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully from there, the pulp is pressed, filtered, pasteurized, and bottled.
All right, so Bianca, they don't normally do bobbing for apples here, but I figured let's just have a little friendly contest.
You know I'm always about to win. Let's go.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Well, while she's there, we'll have more fall festivities
Oh my God.
coming up. I already got mine.
Coming up, a ride up the Hudson River to explore Hudson.
Welcome back, I'm Ryan Kristafer, and our next destination is said to be one of the trendiest towns on the East Coast. Now, it's just a 2-hour train ride or car ride just north of the city along the Hudson River. We're talking about none other than Hudson, New York. So Crystal Young shows us how its past has shaped its future.
President of Historic Hudson. Alan, we're going to start with, how did Hudson get its name?
Well, we're standing here with this glorious view of the Hudson River, and the river itself got its name from Henry Hudson, who was here in an expedition in 1609. He comes up the river literally looking for a way to the East Indies, thinking that perhaps this continent wasn't here. Fast forward to 1774, America is burgeoning with the idea of revolution.
So I understand that Hudson almost became the state capital of New York.
It's true. About 25 miles south, Kingston, New York, was the colonial capital, and it was burned by the British in 1777. With this new young country, there was a competition of what will be established. This was the booming city, and it was thought of as a potential, and it lost out, they say, by 1 vote to the current capital, which is 30 miles north, which is Albany.
Tell me about the history of where we're standing now, the promenade.
So this is called Promenade Hill Park. Starting in 1785, this was used for people to actually promenade, to come to enjoy the view, enjoy each other, and it was for military to parade. Sometimes it was called the parade ground. Steamboats came up from New York City following 1807 with their development. You would come up the river, and right across you could get off the steamboat, go up into the Catskill Mountains, and if you were a European and had heard about American wilderness, this is where you could access and see it.
This whole area is so picture perfect, I can see why artists came here to document it.
They became known as the Hudson River School of Painting, and one of these celebrated painters is Frederick Edwin Church. Built his own home and 250-acre landscape that's now a state historic site called Olana. Railroads came in from the 1830s to the 1850s, and so this city constantly was reinventing itself.
So Warren Street is the main street, but what did it look like back in the day?
When it was chartered in 1785, they laid it out as Main Street, and today it is 8 blocks long. It was unpaved. There are 307 historic buildings on this 8 blocks, and today 100% of them are preserved with an Historic Preservation Commission overseeing them. So the city of Hudson is 2 square miles. It's quite small.
What is the history of the architecture?
It's every era from 1810, the 1820s, the 1850s, the post-Civil War era, the 1880s, the 1920s. There are some buildings from the 1950s, the 1970s, and it's all part of a piece of American commercial enterprise.
Hudson was booming then. 200 years later, it's still got it. My first stop along Warren Street, verdigris tea and chocolate, where temptation melts into tantalizing.
Chocolate became my second passion after tea, and we started using local chocolatiers, bean-to-bar chocolatiers that we could find close by or even as far as New York City. It just seemed like a good combination. Everybody loves tea and everybody loves chocolate.
At Adage, you scent what makes it special before you walk in the front door.
We have a lot of diffusers going. We have perfumes that are being sprayed and tested. We're pouring candles in the back room, so they're getting waves of various and many layers of fragrance coming at them all the time, which we love.
For co-owner Chris Draghi, Hudson was love at first sight.
We were driving upstate and came to this charming little town where we immediately were taken aback by the level and sophistication of retail. On that same day, we walked over the tear sheet of this building and decided to move here. 2 weeks later, we put our property on the market in the city and jumped at the chance to do retail in this amazing town.
There's something magical about Hudson that capture many furniture dealers and home decor and galleries and restaurants and coffee shops. It just gathers all the artists together.
If antiquing is your thing, Hudson is your place. Magic Hill is where modern meets mid-century. Refurbished antiques bathed in bright colors, polka dots, and patterns that pop. Hudson is at the intersection of hip and historic. Walking down Warren Street gives you a chance to really take it all in. Time-honored buildings keeping secrets hundreds of years old. There's a lot to catch the eye.
Hudson has a great young community of artists and entrepreneurs and creatives.
I love it because it's so diverse. It's a little bit of city life and also country life. We kind of get everything all in one here in Hudson.
Hudson's relaxed vibe makes you want to stop and smell the roses or discover hidden gems like the quiet botanist.
It's a shop for explorers. So people like find the alleyway, they come in and then they're like, whoa, what is this? We describe it as a botanical apothecary.
So you're a long way from home, you're from Australia. What brought you to Hudson?
I just found that on the weekends I needed to get out. Like I needed the green, I needed the trees.
Hungry? The options are plentiful. It's a foodie's paradise. The newest place in town, Feast and Florette. Food courtesy of Chef Jason Denton, who's giving me the first look at his fresh, simple, and farm-to-table menu.
I always wanted to have an Italian-influenced restaurant that was really straightforward and simple. Like, kind of our mantra is 3 ingredients on each dish and no more. Like, we're going to use great chicken, make our own pasta, use all the beautiful farms from around here.
And the drinks? Creative. His signature cocktail utilizes local honey and chamomile.
Very nice.
So whether you come for a day or a weekend getaway, when you're ready to leave the hustle and bustle behind, consider historic Hudson. I'll bet you love it as much as I did.
Up next, we explore a new development in a scenic, historic small town.
Welcome back, I'm Ryan Kristafer, and we have more great fall getaways for you. Just behind me on the other side of the bridge is New Jersey. We walk over here to New Hope, Pennsylvania. Now here you'll find great shopping, restaurants, and we're going to show you a brand new resort. Let's check it out.
Addition to the quaint town is the River House at Odette's, a sprawling hotel and restaurant nestled atop the river, all paying tribute to New Hope's history dating back to the 1700s.
So the artwork all throughout the property is all done primarily by Bucks County artists. When you're here, you'll get this tremendous sense of being in nature. On the first floor, all the doors open wide open and the decks open up to the river views. The rooms on the riverside all have balconies. So we built this property with the intent of bringing the outside into the property.
So Ron, when you first walk in here to the River House, you're met by this beautiful lounge area. You got a piano. It's just simply stunning in here.
This is my favorite room because you get a chance to see these 25-foot ceilings, a tremendous view of the canal, and it just feels so good in here.
It's beautiful, and we have this gorgeous piano. Can you tickle the ivories, or are you a piano guy?
I'm a piano guy.
Oh! Well,
I am a piano
come on,
guy,
give us a little performance,
but I'm not
Ron.
performing on a regular basis.
Get over there.
All right, I'll try. All right, does that work for you?
I'm in my feelings now. I'm feeling some type of way, Ron. Ron, this is a gorgeous dining room right here. Tell me a little bit about what went into the design of this.
So we wanted to build what would look like an old mill on the Delaware River, and this has a lot of the architecture of an old mill. And when you come into the space, there's wood everywhere, so it still looks like an old mill that was renovated.
Yeah.
So you have wood floors, wood ceilings.
It's gorgeous, and I mean, talk about a view out here. This is incredible.
It is.
Beyond the main dining room at Odette's, upstairs you'll discover Roof, a private year-round outdoor lounge with panoramic views reserved for hotel guests.
When I developed Roof, my goal was I wanted to evoke some of the feeling that I used to get here when I used to come as a kid in the 70s. I'm dating myself. But when I would come here literally as a kid in the 70s, it was and is an art colony, a place where you really felt free. And all of the 70s, we tried to get embodied into what is now Roof.
Christian's going to make us mile marker 24. We are located at the 24th mile mark of the towpath, which goes 60 miles all the way up to Easton.
Wow.
And you can even bike ride with us. As a hotel guest, we have bikes complimentary.
With the drink in hand?
I would recommend that.
Oh, hey, even better. Makes everything a little better. So what's in this drink?
This is Calvados, which is an apple brandy from Normandy. Just a little bit of grenadine and some lemon juice. Real simple, but wow, all together works terrific.
Well, Ron, congratulations on the opening of the River House here. Cheers.
Thank you, Ryan.
We got to go check out more here in New Hope, so I got a boogie, but you can enjoy your drink.
Or two.
I'll leave you to it.
And just a couple of minutes down the road from the River House, right in the center of town, you can climb aboard the historic New Hope Railroad.
Between 1700 and 1790, they built 9 water-powered grist mills along this part of the river. And coming up on the right-hand side of the train, you're going to see one of the old grist mills.
Railroad came into town in 1891. Primarily a couple passenger trains a day running between New Hope and Philadelphia, a little bit of freight as well. And that transitioned into a passenger operation for tourism in 1966, and it's been running continuously since then.
You can take a 45-minute journey, which is just enough time for the kids, or an extended fall foliage trip, which is 75 minutes.
What you're going to experience, which is different than modern transportation, is just the attention to detail that went into everything, and sort of the old way of doing things where the coaches are made of steel, they've got wood interiors, cloth benches, and we still try to maintain that. So you're going to be riding in cars that were built in the teens and the 20s, hauled by locomotives built in 1925. So it really is an opportunity, you know, kind of like put your phone away, you know, step back in time and enjoy the little time machine that we have here in New Hope.
10 minutes west of the train, you can shop, dine, and stroll through Peddler's Village, which is made up of an eclectic mix of over 65 small stores and 7 restaurants. But the village might be best known for their seasonal scarecrow competition.
We've been doing it for now 41 years. Earl Jamison set up and he started a scarecrow competition, and we followed through now for 41 years. And we have over 100 scarecrows, plus all our shops make a scarecrow, and they're in competition, and people vote for them on our Peddler's Village app.
Oh, tut, tut. People will talk.
You might even run across the village's gaslight murder mystery or ghost performances, so beware.
But apparently you have no problems spending all of my inheritance.
And you can top off your adventure here in the New Hope area about 20 minutes from Peddler's Village. This is Crossing Vineyards, and they've been growing grapes here for the past 20 years.
So over the past 2 decades, it's something where we've noticed a lot more wineries popping up in the area, and we're fortunate to be one of the ones that seems to be one of the bigger destinations for people to come to and enjoy our wine.
And you're in charge of the whole vineyard here, which is pretty
That's
incredible.
correct.
How many types of wine do you guys make, and how many bottles do you pump out every year?
We make 24 different varieties and tens of thousands of bottles every year that we produce. We're always fighting weather. That's kind of our biggest opponent out here in the field.
Yeah.
But fortunately this year we've had not a lot of rain. We've had pretty warm conditions overall. So as you can see, we've got a ton of fruit this year. This is prime time. This is my favorite part of the year, because what we do at this point is go through and test each one of the varieties to see what the sugar levels are. And obviously we're looking at acid levels and things like that as well in order to make the best wine that we possibly can out of the grape.
You have a tough gig. You're just drinking wine all day.
Just drinking wine, tasting grapes.
If you need a part-time helper, I'm free on weekends. Just put
Ryan's
it out there.
new employee at Crossing Vineyards and Winery.
Well, that's nice.
I know, right?
Whew.
I know.
That's good.
The bottles disappear.
I was gonna say.
You can't just have one.
Whoop. Cheers to you from Crossing Vineyard, and we've had such a wonderful time here up in the New Hope, Pennsylvania area. We're gonna have more great fall getaways coming up. Welcome back, I'm Ryan Kristafer, and we've already showed you some wonderful autumnal adventures, but you don't have to travel too far out of the city to have a little bit of fun. Here at the Met, they're open to 25% capacity. You gotta wear your face mask inside, and you're also invited to reserve your tickets online beforehand.
Boo at the Zoo is back at the Bronx Zoo every Thursday through Sunday until November 1st. With safety precautions in place, your family can experience magic and mind-reading shows, professional pumpkin carving, and the spooky extinct animal graveyard. And there's more animals at the Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, where you can spend the day and immerse yourself in the exploration of deep space. And over in Coney Island, the New York Aquarium is open, but before you go, keep in mind you will need a date-specific ticket in advance.
Most of all, have a fun and safe fall season. And just remember, we're in this together. I'm Kristafer. I'll see you on Good Day New York.